back for another fun video. Today we're going to be doing this awesome textured hat. I absolutely love the texture on this. So when WeCrochet asked me to do a hat for them, I said absolutely. It is similar to the alpine stitch. However, it's a really easy stitch repeat. It's a 2-stitch repeat that just, if you do it in an odd number of stitches, you can just go around and around and around. So we'll be doing this continuously, which means that you will need a stitch marker today, a yarn needle to weave in those ends, scissors. Of course, we're going to need some crochet hooks. You will need a 3.5 millimeter hook for the brim of this hat and a 4.0 size G hook for the body of this hat. The yarn that I will be using today is the City Tweed DK. This is so squishy and so lovely. This is a 55% Merino, 25% Superfine Alpaca, and a 20% Donegal Tweed. This has a lot of texture, not only in stitches, and it's really easy to do, but also in the texture of the yarn with that tweed in there. You will also like a pom-pom on top of your hat if that's the look you want to go for, but you don't have to have it. And today I will be demonstrating the size adult for this hat. It is worked from bottom up. We're going to start with this brim here. We'll be working this in rows, then we'll join, and we'll work around one side of that for the hat body, which will be worked continuously all the way to the end. So let's go ahead and get started. So for the brim of this hat, I'm going to be starting with my smaller hook, the 3.5 millimeter, and we will be making a little bit of a thicker brim than we do on the smaller sizes. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 11 here. And now this is the only time we're going to be using a turning chain. So I've chained 11 and I'm going to start in my second chain from the hook and I'm going to single crochet. So we're single crocheting in the second chain from the hook and then we're going to single crochet into each stitch across. So that will be 10 single crochet stitches in this row. Now that I've single crocheted across these 10 chains, it's time for us to turn our work. We're going to be working in rows here and chain 1. This chain 1 for the ribbing does not count as a stitch, and I do like to tighten it down a little bit. And now everything from here on out will be a repeat of row 2. So here's what row 2 does. We start working in the back loop only, so not going through both loops, just that back loop only. And we're going to single crochet into each stitch across. And that's our repeat for every single row to create this ribbing. By working in the back loop only, it does a nice ribbed texture. So I'm going to crochet a couple of rows and come back and show you what that looks like. So as you can see, this is really starting to work up in that rib texture, and it's going to be great for the brim of this hat. For the size adult, you're going to go ahead and work this for 79 total rows. Now it'll be different for each of the other sizes for this hat. So go ahead and take a look at the written pattern to see how many rows you need to work either for the baby size up to this adult size. But for this adult size, you will continue on for a total of 79 rows. Now at this point for this next step, we're going to do some slip stitching to join our current row with our first row. We have this really nice, beautifully stretchy ribbing, but we want to join those, and then I always suggest trying it on. Because if you need to add or remove rows to make it fit your head better, you can feel free to do so. You'll still follow the next steps with the same stitch count, so just work them around the top using the same amount of stitches. But sometimes ribbing, the gauge on it can be different for everybody, so I always suggest trying it on, and then you can make any adjustments as needed. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 1, just like we've been doing, and then I'm going to insert my hook into the back loop only of my current row, and then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to grab the loop from my first row, then yarn over and slip stitch all the loops on the hook together. And we're going to continue that all the way down. So we're just going through the back loop only of our current row, then we're just going to grab the next loop from our first row and slip stitch those together. So you'll do that for all 10 stitches across here. So now that I've slip stitched those together, we have a nice join that's really inconspicuous as we wear it. And I'm going to rotate my work, and now we're going to be working around one edge of this ribbing. You can choose if you want to go to your larger hook size here or after this next step. I tend to like to switch to my larger hook size now. The reason being is if I slip stitch too tight around the top of this, it will lose some of that stretch that makes it easy to fit onto my head. We're also going to be grabbing our stitch marker because from here on out we want to mark our rounds, especially since we're working continuously. So for this next step, we're going to go ahead and we are going to slip stitch one stitch per row all the way around. So for the adult size, that would be 79 slip stitches. You don't want to make them too tight. Now, if you've added or decreased more rows, that's fine. Still simply slip stitch 79 stitches around here and just one slip stitch per round. And we're not going to join at the very end of this round. We're just going to slip stitch all the way and then come on back. So now that I'm back around and I have 79 slip stitches around one edge of that ribbing, we're going to go ahead and do round 2. I'm going to move my stitch marker for just a second, and we're going to be working into this first stitch, but only in the back loop only, and we're going to be starting by doing a double crochet. So we're going to do a double crochet in the back loop only of that slip stitch. And then we're going to go ahead and mark the first stitch of this round. And now for the rest of the stitches all the way around, we're working in the back loop only. We're simply going to double crochet all 79 stitches all the way around in the back loop only. And it's time to move that stitch marker again. We're going to work this first stitch in a unique way. So this is for round 3, and round 3 and round 4 will be our repeat rounds, and we'll repeat those for this stitch pattern. So for this first stitch, we will be working this as a post stitch, almost like double crocheting 2 together around the post stitch, but I call it a puffy double crochet. We're going to yarn over. We're going to go from this side underneath this post stitch. So we're not entering up here. We're doing almost like a front post. So we're working this post stitch. We're going to yarn over, pull up a loop from behind that post stitch, yarn over and pull through 2. And now we're going to do that again. We're going to yarn over, insert through the post of the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops on the hook. And now we have 3 loops left on the hook, and we'll yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. And we're going to go ahead and mark that first stitch in this round. Our next stitch will simply be a double crochet. And that's the 2 stitches we're going to be working all the way around here. So we'll do a puffy double crochet, and then a double crochet. Now those are the 2 stitches we're going to be working all the way around. We'll be ending on a puffy double stitch because we're working an odd number of stitches. And I'll tell you why that's really nice in a moment to set it up that way. But I just want to go through this puffy stitch one more time with you because I know it can be a little bit different the first time you're working a stitch. So I'll do this next stitch as a double crochet. And then this next one will be a puffy stitch. So I'm going to yarn over, work around the post of the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops on the hook, then yarn over and work through the post of the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 of the loops. We have 3 remaining, and so we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook to complete that stitch. You can see this is where it starts to pop out, and it has a bit more texture to it than simply just doing a plain post stitch. So I'm going to work this all the way around and come on back for the next round. So here I am at the last stitch for round 3, and I'm going to work one of those puffy double crochets. And now we're ready to start round 4. So for round 4, we're going to be starting with a double crochet. So we're simply going to be working opposite of whatever stitch is below. So I'm going to start my first stitch as a double crochet. And notice since we're working in an odd stitch number, we're simply continuing just to do the repeat we were doing before for this round as well. And then I'm going to be working a puffy double crochet around the next double crochet stitch as a post stitch, where once again, we're still working to work that as a post stitch. So there's my puffy double crochet, and then I will double crochet into the next stitch. And that is round 4. So we're simply doing the same stitches all the way around. And that creates this beautiful texture that's really easy to do. So as we work continuous, you can just continue to work round 3 and round 4, or even sometimes you don't have to think about it and you can just keep going in that 2-stitch repeat.
And for this size, rounds 5 through 19 will just be a repeat of rounds 3 through 4, or until you get to the desired height that you like, and then come on back.
Now that we've worked the body portion of this hat, which is so full of texture, I absolutely love this, it's time for us to do 5 rounds, and these next 5 rounds will be the decreasing portion of the hat, and then we'll be finishing off. So to do this, we'll start by doing a puffy double crochet into the first stitch. And then we'll go ahead and mark that stitch. And now we're going to double crochet 3 together for the next 3 stitches. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, and then yarn over and insert into the second stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. We have 3 loops on the hook, and then yarn over and insert into the third stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, and now we have 4 loops on the hook, and we will yarn over and pull through all 4 loops on the hook, and that is a double crochet 3 together. Then for the next stitch, we will do a puffy double crochet. So we're going back to kind of working in this pattern. And then the next stitch we're just going to do is double crochet, and then we're going to repeat those last 2 stitches. So a puffy double crochet, and then a double crochet. So we've worked the first 8 stitches in the round, but we've also decreased by 2 stitches because of that double crochet 3 together. So we're going just to be repeating these the stitches we just did in this round. So I'm going to show you that segment one more time, and then you'll just keep repeating that all the way around. So to do this repeat again, we're going to start with a puffy double crochet into the next. And then we're going to double crochet 3 together. And then we will work the next 4 stitches in pattern. So we'll do a puffy double crochet, and then a double crochet, and then a puffy double crochet, and then a double crochet. And we'll just repeat that all the way around. Now that we have 7 stitches left in this round, we're going to be doing the same thing, but since we're short 1 stitch, we're just going to leave that last stitch off of the repeat. So that means we will start with a puffy stitch. There's that puffy double crochet. And then we're going to double crochet 3 together. And then for these last 3 stitches, we will simply be working them in patterns. So that will be a puffy double crochet, and then a double crochet, and then into the last one will be a puffy double crochet. And that completes the first round of the decreasing of the hat. Now for round 2 of this portion of the hat, we're not going to be decreasing and we're going to be working in the stitch pattern. Now based on how your stitches ended up on this last round, you may have even or odd numbers of stitches.
For this round, we are working with 59 stitches, but if you're working with an even number of stitches, that's fine too.
So to work this next round in the stitch pattern, we are going to double crochet into every puffy double crochet stitch, and then we're going to work a puffy double crochet stitch around every double crochet 3 together or double crochet stitch. So we're just keeping that into the stitch pattern. So I'm going to double crochet into my first stitch and mark it. And then I'm going to do a puffy double crochet. I'm just going to work around all these stitches for that double crochet 3 together, working around all of those. We're going to work a puffy double crochet. And then we will double crochet into the next. And we're just going to keep alternating between those stitches and working them all the way around. Now for round 3 of the decreasing rounds, we are going to double crochet 2 together all the way around. So we're just going to keep double crocheting all the way around. And if you're working with a size that has an odd stitch number like I am here, we'll simply just double crochet into the last stitch of the round. So I'm going to double crochet 2 together all the way around.
For the size adult, at the end of this round, you will have a total of 30 stitches.
So now that I'm at the last stitch of this round, I'm simply going to do a double crochet stitch to finish off that round since I have an odd number. If you have an even number, you don't have to worry about that. Now for our next round, we're going to go back to working in our stitch pattern around all these double crochet 2 together. So I'm going to start by working a puffy stitch for the first stitch, and I'm going to go around that whole double crochet 2 together. And then I'm going to mark that stitch. And then in the next stitch, I'll simply double crochet. So we're not changing the stitch count for this. We're just going back to working in that stitch pattern for this round. And if you are working an even number of stitches, you'll simply just double crochet into the last stitch of this round. But for the rest of this round, we're just going to keep repeating where we're just doing a double crochet stitch and then a puffy double crochet stitch and then a double crochet stitch. So repeat that all the way around. Now we're on our very last round of decreasing, and for this last round, we are going to double crochet 2 together all the way around again. If you are working an odd number of stitches, your very last stitch of the round will simply be worked into a double crochet stitch.
For the size adult, you'll have a total of 15 stitches at the end of this round.
Now after our last round of decreasing for the adult size, we have 15 stitches left. We can go ahead and take out our stitch marker, grab your scissors, and leaving a long tail, we're going to go ahead and fasten off. With your yarn needle, we are going to close the top of this by stitching it together. We're going to start by, I like to loop through the front loop only of all the remaining stitches around. So we're just going to go through the front loop only of all the remaining stitches. After you've gone through the front loop only, you can go ahead and just pull that tight, and it really does a nice finish. So now I'm just going to reinforce that so that it closes the top of that off. And then if you want to, you can place a pom-pom on top of this as well. I went ahead and put a pink pom-pom on top of mine. I really love this texture, and it's fun to work up, and it's a really easy stitch to get this awesome texture going on. I love the Mommy and Me sets. It's so cute. I mean, whenever you can do that, that's always nice, isn't it? I really hope you've enjoyed this project. Please hit that subscribe button and come back for more fun things soon.